everybody, welcome to another CrushLivePoker.com hand review. It's been a while. We just concluded the World Series of Poker, and I have concluded my move from Austin, Texas, back to Boston, Massachusetts, where I grew up, to be closer to my parents. I made that announcement a few weeks ago, so you'll see me at Chasers, you'll see me at Boston Encore, and I want to start a little series here where I'm going to be reviewing maybe 4 or 5 of the most interesting hands that I played in the $10,000 WSOP main event this year from 2022. Now, I ended up min cashing the event for like 17,000, but I got into some real doozies of hands with sort of a highlighting on sometimes a concept that us cash game players might struggle with in tournaments, which is value owning ourselves to get maximum value. Obviously, like in a cash game, we're always going for maximum value, but in a tournament, sometimes you're going to check back some hands that you would bet for value in a cash game because just based on tournament theory, chips lost are actually worth more than chips gained, whereas obviously in a cash game, it's entirely irrelevant. So the first hand that I want to kick off this series with actually came in one of the last levels of day 2, which was level 9. Now, the way that the main event, the World Series, works with the structure now, if you make it to the end of day 3, you cash. At the end of day 2, about 2/3 of the field is gone. So this is towards the end, so there's probably something like 40% of the people left. Now, I'm on the button in this hand, and we have the effective stacks here at 100,000. I actually have 226,000, but I am 100,000 effective with the villain who is going to be under the gun, and you can see that the blinds are accurate. It's a 1K small, 1.5K big blind with a 1.5K big blind ante, which means that there's 4K dead in the middle to start off the hand. So I'm on the button, and this guy that I've actually played with for years and years and years, I probably haven't seen him maybe in 10, 15 years. I used to play with him in LA. He was a solid player. He opens from +1 to 3,500, which is just over 2x, off of a 100K stack, and I'm on the button here with aces. Now, the key thing here that the graphics aren't going to show is that the small blind and the big blind, which are to my immediate left, they both had about 40,000, which is about 28 blinds in this scenario. And I thought that this was a really good spot. This is not something that I will commonly do, to sometimes flat here with aces, especially specifically in this configuration, meaning that I'm on the button because I'm going to be flatting with some other hands as well. And what I was trying to do is actually induce a ship from one of these guys coming off of like their really good reship stacks, because sometimes what can happen is you have a guy from early position open, you flat with a big hand in the field, you get a reship to your left, and then the initial opener basically comes back over the top. Like if I flat here for 3,500, guy in the small or the big shoves for like 40, if the +1 guy is going to go with a hand, he might even just shove back over the top with a hand like maybe as light as jacks, ace king, maybe even ace queen suited to basically drive me out. So that's really what I was going for here, and that's why I decided to flat here on the button with red aces. Now, unfortunately for me, the reships did not come. The small blind called, and the big blind folded. So I thought that was a little bit interesting, thinking about, a small blind call. It's not like the big blind's getting some sort of crazy price. And we go to the flop 3 ways, with the pot being 13.5K. Obviously, I'm very comfortable playing this spot with a lot of post-flop experience from cash games. And the board comes out not the best board for me. 10-9-8, rainbow. And because the pre-flop raiser was a very aware player, I thought that there was actually a decent chance that he would actually check this flop, especially when the small blind was in there. So small blind checks, and I was a little bit surprised that +1 comes out and bets 6,000 here, because there's certainly scenarios where you could make a case that with some overpairs in this particular situation, most of his range is actually checked here in a spot like this. Maybe not all of it, and it's not one of the worst boards, like maybe like a Jack 10-9, monotone, where somebody might check it all, check their entire range. But he decides to bet 6,000. Now at this point, I really don't think there's any reason for me to do anything but call here. You could make a case where I could raise and start getting some value from hands like queens, jacks, kings, but remember, I always have to look at the small blind here too, because he's in there. Now, if I were to call and the small blind say check jammed, and then we saw a call from the initial opener, I would seriously, seriously consider folding. It would just be a really gross spot. So I decided to call, and something good happens for me. The small blind just gets out of the way because that would have been really, really messy if he got in there. So he folds out, and now we have a pot of 27,500 as we roll to the turn, which is a big blank. It's 4 diamonds. Now it brings in a backdoor diamond draw, and you can see that I've got red aces here, which is going to come into a play here in a second, just really, really subtly. So now this guy, who, like I said, is, I pegged as a solid player, he comes out and he bets 14,000 into 27.5, and I was just like, wow. Now I'm starting to definitely get concerned here a little bit. Now, obviously, he could still be protecting with overpairs and things like that, but when a solid player bets into 2 people on a board like this as the pre-flop raiser from early position, and I call next to act, which of course is stronger because I have a guy to my left calling on the flop, and then he fires again, what is a fairly big bet in terms of tournament sizing, I was definitely a little bit concerned. And a raise here, I think, would be a very, very drastic overplay in a spot like this, because I really do think that, if I were to raise here, I don't know if I'm going to necessarily get called by worse. And I don't know if Jacks just continues to plow through kings and queens like this. I think it would be very unlikely that those were the types of hands that he held. And again, because I've got the ace of diamonds, he doesn't have that backdoor diamond draw. Now, obviously, I could improve, like if he had a hand like 2 pair or something like that, or if he is betting something for protection, I can see what the river's going to bring out. So I decide to make the call. So now the river rolls off what I think is a fairly interesting card. It is an 8. Now, if this guy had come out and bet again here, I think as played, I would be doing a whole lot of just calling down in a spot like this. Obviously, he could have flopped a set, which is now boated up. There's less combinations of that when the 8 comes, and then 10-9 gets counterfeit. I do wonder sometimes, is it possible that he might take a hand like kings or queens or something like that for 3 streets here, maybe once in a while, being confident now that the 8 pair to try to get like a 10x type of hand to fold. So I was definitely willing to call down here, but that's not really what makes this hand interesting. The +1 player thinks for a while and then ends up checking. He actually didn't even think for that long. He kind of checked in flow. And now I'm sitting here at the end on the river. You can see the guy's got maybe about a pot and a half size bet left. And I'm looking at this and I've got aces up, right? I've got the best, 2 pair that you can have. I've sort of played the hand in a very, very underrepresented way. And if I was in a cash game, this would just be a bet all day long. In a spot like this, I didn't think that he would necessarily be, say, checking, some boats. Like if he continued to bet, a set of 9s, set of 10s. I mean, it's possible. And if I did decide to bet and then he check jammed, I think that it becomes, especially in the main event where these spots are really, really underbluffed, a rather trivial fold. So one of the things that I always preach on CrushLivePoker is, betting thing for value on the river, because you don't really have to worry a whole lot about, say, being blown off your equity in your hand by being bluffed. Now, if you were playing some crazy, super high roller or some sort of high stakes cash game, once in a while you can see somebody capable of making a check raise with a hand like 10-9 in a given situation. In the main, I just don't really see that dynamic. By the way, 10-9's got showdown value versus some other, better 10s and doesn't have a jack in it that might, block some of the busted straight draw. So I don't even know if 10-9 is taken here. So I just, put it all together and I was like, I think I have to value bet here. And it was just really a question of sizing. And at this point, with the pot being 55.5, like a half pot size bet would be right around, say, like 26, 27. And that's a really, really large bet. And I figured if I were to bet, like, say, 25, it gives him about, just over a 3-to-1 price. And then if he check jammed for another, say, like 50 total, the pot would be like 150 for me to call, but I just don't think that I would be good there, 1 out of 4 times to make the call. So I decided to bet here. after some long thought, I just thought my hand was just too good to not bet. And I go for 25,000. And he thinks about it for like a couple seconds. He's like, how much is it? How much is it? It doesn't take too long and makes the call. And I say, aces. And he's like, that's no good. And he turns over Queen Jack suited, which he checked the river. And I suppose he's checking to check call to obviously pick off some bluffs, and I suppose to sort of protect his stack against some boats. I do feel like in this spot here, if I had Queen Jack, I'd be doing a fair amount of betting here, because you just see so many players like check behind hands, and he wouldn't have to necessarily have bet large. He could have bet like 15,000, and I probably would have just called. And maybe you get like a hero call from someone with like a 10, right? Like a Jack 10 suited, Ace 10, something like that. But I was really, really surprised when he just check called here with Queen Jack. Now, obviously, I was destined to lose this particular hand, but I thought the river was a very, very interesting spot, because if I had 3-bet pre, he's definitely going to defend. And let's say we're heads up, he flops the nuts. Now, I may have checked this back in this particular spot. It could have gone check, check, and then I just call turn and call river. But however I'm going to play this one, I'm definitely going to lose some money. But I thought it was really, really interesting at the end. Do you bet here with aces or not in the main event of the tournament? Do me a favor, if you do like what you see here, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and thanks for watching.